I have huge problems trying to find pants here. I have a butt! Okay, so for today's vlog, it's going to be 5 things I love about France and 5 things that I hate about France. We'll start off with 5 things that I love about France. Number 1, the pastries here in France are amazing. It's one of the pastry capitals of the world, and every time I'm amazed by how good they are. Number 2, university price tags. Unlike in the United States, where the price of college has gone up 500% over the last 50 years, here, for about 800 euro, that's the whole year's cost of going to university. 3, healthcare here is unbelievably amazing. I believe that France is number 1 in the world for healthcare. With the healthcare here, I present to them a card. It's called a carte vitale. I give it to them. Every ounce of paperwork is done through that card. Occasionally you'll owe a little bit extra and might have to pay, but for the most part, the times that I've actually had to pay for something is very minimal because here is universal healthcare. It's so much more organized, so much more efficient, and I can't say enough good things about it. And even just the general base prices for healthcare in France are phenomenal. Number 4, freedom and just the general attitude people have. Everybody in the United States is so proud to be free, but when you think about this, from my experience, the US is one of the most restrictive places. Everybody here I've seen is so much more laid back, especially things like drinking in the streets. Nobody cares. In the United States, you would get arrested for drinking in the streets unless you're in one of a few cities that allows that. But here, they don't care, and it's fine. Even if it is illegal, I've seen the cops not do anything several times. The overall police and authoritative mentality here in France, far less than that of the United States. Number 5 is the work schedule. France has a 35-hour work week, and they have a mandatory, I think it's 40 days of vacation per year. Every single person, regardless of your position, you have 40 days off per year. Children here don't go to school on Wednesdays because they deemed it was too much work for them. So they just tacked on an extra hour each other day, and they gave them a break in the middle of the week. The French really respect their free time, and I think the US could learn a lot from it. Now let's talk about the bad things. 5 things that are really annoying about France. Number 1, smokers. Smoking here is more prevalent than it is in the United States, and it just drives me nuts. When you're walking down the street, so many more people smoke than any other place I've been in the United States. And then if you see the beautiful outdoor cafes and you want to sit there, you can't do it because that's where all the smokers congregate. Normally you'd step outside to get fresh air or, sit at a table outside to get fresh air, but here, if you do that, you're inhaling in everybody's secondhand smoke. Number 2, French bureaucracy is outrageous. It is worse than in the United States. Things take longer. There's very little help. Even in the United States, where our main language is English, we still have things in other languages. And in France, they're really not helpful with doing that. And there's so much counterintuitiveness in how things work, and things take very, very long to get done. Number 3, the potato chip flavors here. The potato chip flavors here are crazy. You might find sour cream and you might find barbecue, but they have ham and cheese, mustard, ketchup flavored potato chips. I don't get it. It's just not the flavors I'm used to. Number 4, this doesn't pertain to everywhere in France, but where I live in southern France, it does. French is the predominant language, and then the secondary language is also French. Nobody really speaks English. It's like French, French, and more French. Where I am specifically, we're near Barcelona, so I would expect that there might be some Spanish speakers there. But there's not. Number 5, getting a license in France is ridiculous. If you're from the United States and you are residing in France, you can just transfer your license over and get a permanent license for France. However, the annoying thing is that France doesn't see the all United States as one country. They do it on a state-by-state basis. For instance, if you're from the state of Massachusetts, you can transfer your license over and get a French license. However, if you're from the state of Arizona, you cannot transfer your license over. I don't know where this comes from. It doesn't make any sense. Either be all in or be all out. see the country as a whole and let the US citizens get their license, or don't. Make up your mind. Because for me, I've lived in both of those states. I learned how to drive in the one that is allowed, but I lived in the one, my most current license is from the one that's not allowed. Who's to judge on this? It's ridiculous. Say you are not from an accepted state within the US, it's going to cost you $1,000 to get your driver's permit here, your license. I'm going to throw in another one. Number 6, and this resonates with me and probably a lot of the girls I've talked to here, is that the fashion in France, while amazing, the sizing is just completely off compared to Americans. I have huge problems trying to find pants here. I have a butt. Most of the pants here are more skinny oriented for, people who don't have that junk in the trunk, if you will. That's just the norm here. Even with all this good and all this bad, I would still highly recommend that if you have the opportunity, visit or reside in France for a time.